Riots in the roadway. Angry indigenous fight with police. Judges on the job in Medellin while the rest of the nation's judicial sector votes on whether to end their strike. Game day. Colombia plays Brazil in Rio de Janeiro. Ready to blow? A Colombian volcano spewing gas. And the best zoo in Latin America in Cali. Hello, everybody, from the RCN News Center in Bogota. I'm Brian Andrews with a look at Colombia's biggest stories. And we begin with the story of one of the biggest volcanoes in this country, the Volcán Galares, which blew its top back in January. It's showing signs it could be on the verge of another major eruption. A plume of ashes and vapor can be seen coming up from the crater of the Volcán Galares near Pasto, Nariño. The gas plume extending more than 10,000 meters up into the sky. In Geominas, the government's geological agency, says seismologists have seen an increase in small earthquakes around the volcano, but are not concerned about an imminent eruption. Locals, however, think differently. They say they are concerned that something big could be coming. Not too far away in Valle, another potentially explosive situation. This one involves anger in the streets, shutting down a portion of the Pan American Highway, and protests by indigenous Colombians. These protests have turned deadly, claiming at least one life and injuring nearly 40 others. Still angry over what they say are unkept promises by the Colombian government to give them land, members of the Payeses and Emberes Chami tribes continued to fight with police on the Pan American Highway in Candelaria, the indigenous throwing rocks and small explosives. The police fired shots into the air and even set off tear gas canisters in an effort to disperse the angry crowds. Meantime, other police forces were on the highway in the little town of La Maria, where other indigenous had blocked the road in violent protest. A police officer dealing with the chaos there was injured when he was cut with a machete. Colombia's Vice President, Pacho Santos, says the government will not tolerate the blocking of roads for commerce or violence against police and the army. National police, with the help of the Colombian army, have been able to reopen 5 kilometers of Pan American Highway between Popayán and Cali that have been blocked by protest for the last 2 days. Very violent protests that have left at least one indigenous person dead, more than 30 indigenous hurt, and injured more than a half-dozen police officers. The news continues. Thousands of union members from Colombia's judicial sector are voting today on whether to end their strike that has paralyzed this country's court system for more than a month now. The strike is already done in Medellin, where members of the judicial sector were back on the job on Wednesday, trying to work through a backlog of 5,000 lawsuits and 7,000 tetulas. Workers in Medellin say they will go back out on strike if it looks like the government is not working in good faith to find a way to give them and other workers a pay raise. All of Colombia is focused on football Wednesday afternoon as Colombia takes on Brazil in Rio de Janeiro. The team, with their brand new coach, Eduardo Lara, are fighting history. Since 1950, Brazil has not lost when they played on their home turf in the Maracanã Stadium in Brazil. Of course, if Colombia loses this game, it'll be bad news because we won't be making it to the World Cup. Time to check the Colombian business travelers forecast. We begin in San Andreas with rain. The same story along Colombia's north coast, where we've seen a tremendous amount of flooding in recent days. Cartagena checking in with clouds. Barranquilla, whippa, as they say up there on the coast. Sun and rain. Same story in Rio Hacha and in Santa Marta. Making our way down toward Valledupar, the birthplace of Vallenato. We've got sun and a little bit of showers. Bucaramanga checks in with clouds. Same story in Tunja. Medellin, the land of the Paisas. Looks like it could be a nice day there. Same story in the Eje Cafetero. Sun and clouds in Pereira, Manizales, Armenia. Cali, where the expo is happening right now. Sun and clouds. Popayán, sun and clouds. And it looks like it's going to be a nice day in Pasto and in Tumaco. As we make our way into the country's interior, Mocoa checks in with sun and clouds and moderate temperatures. Florencia, cloudy skies completely. And if you're heading down into the Amazonas, San Jose del Guaviare, Me Too, rain. We've got also A little bit of a tough situation going on in Leticia with tremendous thunderstorms impacting the border region right now between the three countries. Before we leave you today, we wanted to show you the latest edition of Elenco magazine. It has a nice little article about RCN News in English and our weekend news anchor, Samara Garcia. We'd like to thank them very much for their support and promotion of Colombia's first ever English language newscast designed to show the rest of the world what is really happening here in Colombia. And as you can see the smile on Samara's face, she's just delighted to be part of our team, and we're really happy to have her anchoring our weekend news. We leave you at the Cali Zoo, considered to be the best zoo in Latin America. That's RCN News in English. Mira ve, Colombia for the world.
Usted está en Cali, ay mire vea, mi Cali se está adornando para su fiesta más popular, con caña dulce el melao hierve en la paila hasta amanece, habrá corrida de toros y por la noche fiesta y rumba, en Cali mira, se sabe gozar, en Cali mira, se sabe gozar.